Hello, this video will demonstrate how to apply for a systems change grant and then how to navigate through the application form once you're within the system. If after watching this video you're still experiencing technical difficulties, then we have a variety of support options available to you. You can send us an email to a dedicated inbox and we'll get back to you within a couple of hours. You can call this number and ask to speak to one of the field of interest team members if it's within working hours, and we can try to troubleshoot your issue immediately. Or you can log into one of the scheduled Skype support webinars that we'll be hosting throughout this month. During those sessions, we can share our screen with you to troubleshoot the issue that you may be experiencing. The first step to applying for a grant is to navigate to the online grant management systems homepage. Then enter your email address that you registered with and the password you have. And if you haven't submitted a grant proposal yet, you're automatically taken to the list of open calls. After you've submitted one grant proposal, the next time you log in, you'll be taken to a home screen that has different information on it. If you want to return to this list of open calls, simply press this apply menu item and the list will reappear. Here we can see all of the program funding calls that are currently accepting applications. The call names are here, the program they're associated with, the sub-program that may differentiate what type of granting program, as well as whether it's a 1- or 2-stage application process. The deadlines for each of the granting calls are here. We can see that there are 1, 2, 3 systems change related grant calls open at the moment. I'm going to demonstrate using the develop grant. The process at the beginning of the application process is exactly the same for each of the grant types. And so if you hit apply now, the first screen you're presented with is an eligibility statement, which you'll want to read. And then if you can confirm those statements, click the I confirm, save and continue to step number 2. The second step is to identify the applicant and intermediary organizations involved in the project that you're submitting. Applicant organizations must be qualified donees because Vancouver Foundation is a charitable foundation. If you've applied on behalf of the organization before, then click yes, and that organization may appear in the drop-down list here. We haven't migrated many of the past associations yet, and so most likely there won't be any organization listed here. In that case, you'll want to select no, and then you're presented with a list of qualified donee types. In order to identify the organization you're applying against, you will select the type of qualified donee organization they are. Most of the applicants are registered charities. However, any of these other qualified donee types are also eligible to submit grant proposals to us. If you're unsure what type of qualified donee you are, we've included this link to the Canada Revenue Agency where you can browse their lists and see where you show up, and then come back here. And if you're a registered charity, then you can begin typing a name, or by far the easiest way to identify a registered charity is to begin to type the charitable registration number. And you'll see that as I begin typing, the system narrows down the values to the organization that has that registered charitable number, and then I can just select it. If this isn't the correct organization, or if you don't know what your registered charity number is, then you can search by name. There are more than 13,000 organizations listed in our database, and so I'd recommend that you use the most unique aspect of your name that you have. To create a standardized search experience, we've also stripped most of the periods out of acronyms and initials. So for example, if your organization name has any variation of BC in it, we've stripped the periods out and it's now just BC. A well-known organization in Vancouver is Success, and you'll see as I start typing it with the periods, nothing shows up. But if I enter it without the periods, you'll see that the system goes through the sorting process and brings up the organizations that have success within it. We've uploaded all of the registered charities currently operating in British Columbia and registered charities outside of BC that applied to Vancouver Foundation since 2015. If you cannot find us in the list, then you can add a new registered charity by clicking this button. It brings you to this screen where you can't do anything except to click on another button that then takes you to the search screen. Here you enter as much information as you know about the organization and then press search. You're presented with a list of organizations that meet the criteria that you've entered into the form. They're sorted by registration number, but you can resort the list by clicking on any of the column headers here. The organization that I want to use as an example is down here, and here it is. If you're not sure, sometimes, and this is especially true for churches, there are many churches across the country that have exactly the same name, and so if you're unclear about whether this is if there was more than one CUSO International listed here, I could click on this View Details button to bring up a bit more information about this organization. And then if I know that this is the one I want to select, I can select it from here, or I can close the window and return back to this list. I should also mention, if you somehow navigate away from the screen and wonder where it is, you can often click on the browser icon and see the windows that are currently open and come back to this window. So I want to, this is the organization I want to select, and I've navigated away from the window. Here it's pre-filled the form out, I can't do anything with it. And so when I try to submit it, I get an error message that says this organization actually already exists in our database, and so you should be able to find it by typing in the name. So in this example, I would encourage you to jot down what the registration number is, type that in instead, and the organization should come up. If you're still running into difficulty, then please give us a call. I'm going to go back and select a different organization that isn't in our database. We're going to select this one here. I'm taken back to the window where it pre-fills in the information, and when I submit, I get a message that says the organization has been successfully added. So when I close this window and go back to my application form, I'm still under registered charity, and I start typing in the name. The system goes through the list. Oh, there it was. Come back. There we are. I can select it and move on to the next stage of the application form. And that's to identify whether or not there's an intermediate organization involved in the project. So intermediate organizations are not qualified donees. They're organizations that qualified donees work with to do the work that the qualified donee would have done itself if it had the resources. So intermediaries kind of get outsourced the work. And if you're not clear what constitutes a intermediary organization, we've included a link to the CRA's definition. It's a very good page, a very long page, that describes what intermediary organizations are and what they can do on behalf of qualified donees. So if there is an intermediary organization involved, you would select yes. And again, you would start typing a name in here to see if they come up on the list. If they don't come up on the list, then select add new organization. If there's no intermediary involved, then select no. I'm going to select an organization so I can show it to you in the application form. So now when I save and continue to the application, I'm now presented with the application form. Regardless of which grant type you apply for, the application form is presented exactly the same way. At the top of the screen, you'll see the applicant organization, which program call you've come in under, when the deadline is. You should also see yourself listed as the primary author. Here you'll see different sections of the application form that you need to fill in before submitting, and you can navigate to any of these sections without completing information on the previous section. When you scroll down the screen, you'll see the information that you'll need to supply. Over here on the left-hand side, if there's any contacts associated with this organization that currently exist in the database, they'll be listed here. I can also add collaborators here if I want other people to work on the application form with me at the same time. There's a separate video that shows you how to do this. At the bottom of the screen, there are 4 action buttons. If I've made a mistake and this is not the organization I wanted to apply against, then I can go back and go through that organization selection process again. I can save my work at any time and then exit out of the system, and when I log back in, I'll see this application listed in the My Applications section in the Draft Applications tab. So I simply click on the application and I'm returned to the form. The Validate and Submit button is what you press when you're finished filling out the application form. The system goes through a validation process to make sure everything's where it should be. And if it isn't, then you're presented with a series of error messages. The nice thing about this list is you can click on the error and it will take you to exactly where within the form the error is and present you with a message explaining what the issue is with that field. Once you correct all the errors, the validation system will then submit the application on your behalf. This final button does exactly what it says it will do. And so if you press this, your proposal will be deleted. And if this isn't the proposal that you want to submit, then by all means delete the proposal. If you have pressed this button in error, then give us a call because we can reinstate deleted proposals so that you can get back into it. That's it for this video. There are other videos that will show you how to fill out the narrative sections of the application form, how to fill out a project budget, how to add collaborators. I hope you found this useful. If you're having any difficulty with the process, please give us a call, send us an email, log into one of our Skype webinars. We're here to support you as best as we can so that you can submit a successful application. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to receiving your application.